It's the dictionary. It's the dictionary. It's the dictionary. It's the dictionary. Dictionary. It's the dictionary. It's the dictionary.
Hello, word nerds. I'm Spencer. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing great. Word nerds and flurgerds. That's you. Let's talk about the words. Okay, the first word in this episode today is X directory. It's X and then a hyphen and then the word directory. This is an adjective from 1936. It is British and it means not listed in a telephone book. And the synonym, which is probably more likely what you would hear if you are in the American states, would be the word unlisted. Are you listed in the phone book, the yellow pages, the white pages, the pages where you go to look up people in the phone book to find out their number and the address that probably doesn't really exist anymore in this 21st century? You would be X directory. It's kind of a weird, in my viewpoint, the way that I think of things, the way that my brain works, X directory is kind of a funny adjective. I'm X directory. I am unlisted. I am not in the phone book. Is that how you use it? It is funny to watch older movies and TV shows where, even in the 90s, they would break out that big old phone book and start looking through. We just watched something recently. I don't remember what it was. But, those kids today, they never had to use a phone book. This is how we used to learn things. This is how we would go find the numbers of people, humans. You could go to the phone book and look up their names and addresses unless they decided to be X directory. I got in another usage of it. It's from the X word, Latin word, which means out of. You're out of the directory. That's it. Good stuff. Okay, my sound effect today is going to be shoom. The next word is exec. E-X-E-C. This is a noun from 1896. I would also say it's an abbreviation, but I think we use this one enough, and it's an easy enough word to pronounce that it just gets its own entry as a noun, not an abbreviation. Number 1, the synonym is executive officer. And number 2, the synonym is executive, which will be at the end of this episode. I am not an executive of anything. Maybe someday. Let's see, I'm looking ahead at the executive words. There is one in here that, rephrase that. There is one that is not in here that I was hoping it would be, but maybe someday. Okay, let's see. That's exec. Nothing else for that one. 1896. Back in 1896, they were saying exec, I guess, over 100 years ago. 100 and about 30 years ago, they were saying exec. Doesn't seem like a word that you'd hear in the 1800s. Next is execrable. Execrable. That's where the letters go. Execrable. E-X-E-C-R-A-B-L-E. Adjective from the 14th century. Number 1, deserving to be execrated. We'll learn about that in a second. The synonym is detestable. You are deserving to be execrated. You are a detestable human being. Maybe we'll have to execute you. I am hearing all of these phone sounds, and I don't think putting my stuff on Do Not Disturb is going to help, but maybe it's just through the headphones. What's going on with these headphones? I don't know. So detestable, there's an example. Execrable crimes. Execrable crimes. So those crimes are deserved to be execrated. Those are the most detestable of crimes. I think the most detestable of crimes, execrable crimes, would be looking bad at a puppy. And then, of course, anything worse than that it's like off the charts of execrable. You can't even say the word. It's so far off the charts. Number 2 is very bad. Very bad. And the synonym is wretched, with a W-R, wretched. As in, execrable hotel food. Execrable hotel food. That food is wretched. It makes me retch when I smell it, when I eat it, when I taste it, when I'm near it. I need to retch when the hotel food is there. That's terrible. It's very bad. That food is very bad. It's execrable. It's a hard word to say, kinda. You gotta. I kind of have to overemphasize it. Execrable. Maybe that's why people don't use it anymore, because it's not an easy word to say. Execrable. Execrable. Execrableness. That is a noun. And execrably. That's an adverb. You made that food execrably. It has a lot of execrableness. Well, now we got to talk about the next word. Phew. Execrate. Verb, transitive verb from 1531. Number 1. To declare to be evil or detestable. The synonym is denounce. I denounce you because you are terrible and detestable, wretched, and execrable. So I'm execrating you. You hotel food, you have been execrated. Let's see. Execrate. Number 2. To detest utterly. Why is there a big ol' hyphen there? Usually, I guess that's the normal place. To detest utterly. This would be the hotel food. You are execrating the hotel food. You are execrating the hotel food because it is execrable. Execrative is an adjective, and execrator is a noun with an OR at the end. The execrator, how do you use this as a noun? Oh, I just ate some execrator. Oh, it made me blech. Is that execrator? Execrator, noun. A noun of something that is, you're declaring evil. Maybe the thing that you have declared evil or detestable would be the execrator. Maybe this is the one that makes the most sense. The one who is doing the execrating would be the execrator, because they have the power to declare something as evil or detestable, just blah, gross and nasty and mean and bad. When you look at that puppy in that mean way with the evil eye, you are an execrator. Is that a villain or a hero? Is the execrator a villain or a hero calling things evil? Well, you'd think it would be the hero. Calling the villain, execrating the villain. That would make sense to me, but the villain is the hero in their story, so maybe they think that the hero is evil. Is there etymology for this? Of course there is. It's from the Latin verb execrare, which means to put under a curse. Okay, now this is interesting. That is from the ex word or ex prefix plus sacer, which means sacred. And it looks like the X, if we look at the first word in this episode, X directory, that means out of. So out of sacred. It was sacred and you're taking out of being sacred, and that's putting a curse on the thing. So I guess, a curse, something that is cursed, feels the opposite of sacred. Cursed, sacred, cursed, sacred. And so if you are putting it under a curse, if I'm going to curse this water bottle, then you would be execrating it because you're putting it under a curse. You're putting a curse on it. Is that the same thing? And you are saying that it is evil. You are saying it's evil because it has a curse on it. But you put it, so maybe just don't put the curse on it, and then it won't be evil. Is that how things work? I don't know. Okay, we gotta move on. The next word is execration. Noun from the 14th century. Number 1, the act of cursing or denouncing, also the curse so uttered. So if you are putting a curse on that bottle of water, so when somebody drinks it, they get the poopies. You are saying an execration, and you are putting an execration on the thing. Number 2, an object of curses, and then also something detested. What is an object of curses? Is this an object that has a curse on it? That room, the sort of museum room of the Warrens, what's it, Estelle Warren? No, wait, is that her name? Who are the Warrens? The Warrens. Why can't I think of their first names? Well, anyway, they have that whole room in their house, if it still exists, of all these cursed objects. Here, the Warrens Occult Museum. Fred Warren? No, I don't think so. So would those be execrations because they are objects of curses? I just need to know their name. I need to know it. Ed and Lorraine. What did I say? Estelle? Ed and Lorraine Warren. I should have known that. Okay, so those are maybe execrations, possibly, because we detest them, because they have evil souls. They have execrations. They are execrable. Next is executant. Executant. I think we are, yes, we're done with the execrate words. Executant is a noun from 1846. One who executes or performs, especially one skilled in the technique of an art, and the synonym is performer. Now, this is interesting because the word one who executes, the word executes is in there. So, of course, that makes me think of an executioner, one who is executing, killing, murdering another human being. But I think that maybe that's not what they mean in this context. The executant, we'll talk. We're about to talk about the word execute, but basically, a performer, somebody who's doing their art, their technique, whatever it is, they are executing that action, that silk dancing, painting, juggling, somersaults. I'm a good executant of somersaults, I think. That might be it. Trampoline, so many things, so many physical feats, ballet. So you're just a performer. It's just a general performer of an action, an act, a technique, a thing. So that's executant. So I don't think it's the murdering one. We're going to talk about that soon. Anything else? I don't know. Not really, because it's all from the word execute, which is our next word. Thump. Execute. Verb from the 14th century, starting with transitive. Number 1, to carry out fully, and also put completely into effect. You are not half-assing this. You are whole-assing this. You finish drinking the water bottle completely. You have executed the water? There's an example. Execute a command. You've told your dog to sit. Once you get it out of your mouth completely, you say sit, you have executed the command. But wait a minute, transitive versus intransitive, which is which? The dog, if they do the command, if they sit, that's probably the one for this transitive. If they sit when you say sit, or when they do the action of whatever word or hand motion that you perform, that you execute, then they would be executing the command. I think we figured it out, hopefully. Number 2, to do what is provided or required by, as in, execute a decree. So maybe the queen decrees that all people must shave their heads. Then when everybody does that thing that is now required by the queen, you are required to do this, otherwise you can't live under the queen, which maybe you shouldn't be. Maybe you should just leave or kick her out. Then you have executed the decree. Good for you. You get to live under a monarchy rule. Number 3, to put to death, especially in compliance with a legal sentence. So this is not just randomly you say, I don't like you, so I'm going to put you to death. No, this is in the legal system that everybody agrees upon. Pretty much everybody, the society, the culture agrees upon these legal situations. And they've gone through their trial, their judgment, their jury, whatever it is. And the conviction that has come from that is they are guilty of this crime, and we think that it is fair to have them executed by maybe an executant? We don't know. To put to death, especially in compliance with a legal sentence. You are complying with the sentence in the legal world that says they will be put to death in this manner. So you have to execute them, put them to death. This is a tough one. I don't know if we should be doing this. I don't know if we should be executing people. Maybe just staying in jail for the rest of their life is punishment enough. Maybe they shouldn't be punished at all because maybe scientifically there is no free will. I'm reading a book about that right now, and it's fascinating. And the guy who wrote it is going through all of this scientific evidence that says, it doesn't really make sense that we have free will, and maybe people shouldn't be punished for the crimes that they commit because they have been maybe put into a very unlucky situation that kind of forced them into this life of crime, for example. We're not going to get into that. I'm going to try to get that guy on this podcast for free will, which is, in the grand scheme of things, not terribly long from now. Come back in a year. Okay, back to the execute definitions. We've got number 4, the act or mode or result of performance. So the act of performance, the mode of performance. How are you doing the performance? I'm jumping on a trampoline. My jumping is the performance? Or the result of a performance. I did a backflip on the trampoline. The backflip is the result. I have executed my trampoline backflip. I used to be able to do that. Number 5, this is archaic. Effective or destructive action. As in, this is a quote from Shakespeare, his brandished steel, which smoked with bloody execute. Okay, so what's the definition again? This archaic, old, unused definition? Effective or destructive action. So if we replace that in the quote, his brandished steel, his sword maybe, his brandished steel, which smoked with bloody destructive action, bloody effective action, which smoked with it smoked. The steel, the sword stabbed somebody and became bloody, and then it smoked? I don't know. It seems maybe metaphorical. We don't use it this way anymore. I don't get it. This one, by the way, this last one, this archaic one, is, I think, usually used with the word do, as in, as soon as day came, we went out to see what execute we had done. And that is a quote from Daniel Defoe. What execute we had done? As soon as day came, we went out to see what effective or destructive action we had done. What did we do? Oh my God, we blacked out last night. We don't even remember. We think we did something. This is like the hangover. What did we do? Oh my God, I can't remember. Now we have to go around and talk to people and figure out what execute we had done. Yeah. Okay, execute, etymology. Let's execute this etymology into your faces. So, this is from the Latin verb exequi, E-X-S-E-Q-U-I. I believe that's the verb. That means to execute. From the ex prefix plus sequi, which means to follow. Now, is this following the leader? Or what would be another option? To follow. I'm going to copy you, follow you. There's more at the word sue, S-U-E, like I'll sue ya. To execute, so you are following actions, you are following orders, maybe when you are executing. Now let me look back at this. Oh, you know what? I think I skipped ahead. I skipped ahead the etymology to execution. Oh, you know what? Oh boy, I really screwed this up. Yeah, I screwed this up real good. We gotta backtrack, people. I'm so sorry. Let's do. Okay, so here's the thing. I skipped ahead to the word execution, the noun, so we gotta go zoop up to the verb, back to the verb. That's this really big block of text, and it got all confusing. So, let's just ignore all of that just happened. The verb, let's see, let's find out where Spencer left off. Number 2, this is number 3, to put to death. Okay, now, number 4, to make or produce, especially by carrying out a design. I'm sure you smart people were like, wait a minute, he's saying definitions that are for a noun, not a verb. This doesn't make any sense. We got it. To make or produce as a work of art, especially by carrying out a design. So you create a design, then you have to execute that design, and maybe it's a piece of art, a piece of artwork. Number 5, to perform what is required to give validity to. To perform what is required to give validity to, as in execute a deed. Once you execute it, you have given validation, you have validated it. I gotta validate my ticket to perform what is required. Yep. Number 6, the synonym is play, P-L-A-Y, as in execute a piece of music. If you don't execute the piece of music, I will execute you. Okay, here's intransitive. Number 1, to perform properly or skillfully the fundamentals of a sport or of a particular play, as in, never had a team execute better. And that is a quote from Bobby Knight. I believe he was a college basketball coach. Was he the one who was throwing the chairs? I feel like it might have been. To perform properly or skillfully, his team had never, none of the other teams had executed their actions better, according to Bobby Knight. Number 2, to perform indicated tasks according to encoded instructions. This one is used of a computer program or routine. The thing has to execute the actions, the code, the programming. It has indicated tasks that have been indicated by the programming, and yet it has encoded instructions that are encoded into its program. On a PC, when you get a program, the code at the end is .exe. It's what does it stand for? Executable. I think that might be what it is. We don't have that in here, do we? I don't think so. Okay, so go back to the proper place, the verb. Synonyms for the word execute, the verb, are kill and perform. And sometimes when you perform really well, they say you've killed. Especially stand-up comics say that. Executable. Well, here it is. It's not its own entry. That's an adjective. But in the world of computer programs, it's also a noun. You got an executable because it's going to execute the programs that are encoded in it. Anything else about this? It's from the Anglo-French verb exécution, which means execution. Which is, by the way, if you are just tuning in, execution. That's our next word. Noun from the 14th century. Don't worry, when I get to those last couple definitions, I will skip ahead. I'll remind you, though. Don't worry. Number 1 for execution, the act or process of executing. The synonym is performance. I guess this show is a kind of execution. I am executing the words out of my mouth, some other words and phrases off the top of my head, sometimes some songs. Let's bring in some more songs. How do you do that? You just start singing. Number 2, a putting to death, especially as a legal penalty. Some reason it's always this loungy thing. Number 3, the process of enforcing a legal judgment as against a debtor. The process of enforcing a legal judgment like against a debtor. That is somebody who owes money. They are in debt, so they are a debtor. Right? Also, a judicial writ, W-R-I-T, directing such enforcement. A judicial writ directing, so this writ maybe came from a judge that said, go do this, go enforce this. You are allowed to go into this person's house and check out everything because we feel pretty confident that they're hiding something, that they did something bad. So that's an execution to go check out their underwear drawers. Number 3, the process of enforcing such enforcement. Is that right? Wait a minute. Oh, no. Number 3 is the process of a legal judgment like the debtor, also a judicial writ direct. So now we're on number 4, which is the act or mode or result of performance, which we read before. And then number 5 is the archaic one, which is the effective or destructive action with the steel, the bloody execution. See, now it's clicking. It didn't make sense before when you put in the word execute in this noun form. So let's reread that quote from Shakespeare. His brandished steel, which smoked with bloody execution. Oh yeah, much better. It makes my blood tingle. Usually used with the word do, as in, as soon as day came, we went out to see what execution we had done. Same thoughts. What did we do last night? I can't remember. Just run away. Okay, the execution word is from exequi, which means to execute, which is ex plus sequi, which means to follow. So you are following directions when you do this execution. That's, I think, kind of the big part. Shomp. With a big ol' axe. Shomp. The next word is executioner. Noun from 1536. One who executes, especially one who puts to death. I think we need a movie. If it doesn't exist, I think we need a movie that follows an executioner. And like what's their life like? Maybe it's old. Maybe it's not modern. Maybe it needs to be older. You know, do they love their... I feel like maybe this has already been done, or maybe it was in a comedy sketch, or maybe I already thought of this idea, which is entirely likely. And yeah, I think we just need to learn more about the executioner's life. Maybe they're just stuck. They're just stuck in this job and they hate it. They don't want to be killing people, but they can't get out. They're not skilled enough to do anything else. What do they do in their free time? I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities there. Maybe it's just worthy of a short. Fromp. The last word is executive. E-X-E-C-U-T-I-V-E. First form, adjective from 1649. Number 1A. So adjective, you're describing something as executive, like an executive suite. An executive, I don't know, let's read. Maybe we'll come up with some good examples if we read the definitions. 1B. No, 1A. You got to start there. Of or relating to the execution of the laws and the conduct of public and national affairs. Executing the laws. That's this world. Executive. So it's relating to the execution of the laws. 1B, belonging to the branch of government that is charged with such powers, this is a long definition, that's charged with such powers as diplomatic representation, superintendence of the execution of the laws, and appointment of officials, and that usually has some power over legislation as through veto. Compare to judicial and legislative. So, obviously, I'm not going to go too deep into this because I'm not the best person to describe this, and maybe I'll put a link in the show notes. But the American government is divided into three branches. And I would assume that maybe some other countries' governments are too. There's the judicial branch, the legislative branch, and the executive branch. So, if hopefully I get this correct when I learned this all those years ago and have thought about it a little bit since then, the legislative branch creates the laws. The executive branch executes the laws in various ways, appointing of officials and other things. And then the judicial branch, like the judges, the Supreme Court, what are they called? The supreme juries, the supreme judges, they're supreme. Yes, the Supreme Court. They judge, they interpret the law to see, well, this is what people meant, and this is what you did, or what people are saying you did, so we need to figure out if they're correct, and what's the proper punishment. All right, good enough. Number 2A for executive is designed for or relating to execution or carrying into effect, as in executive board. These are the people in your boardroom who make a lot of decisions for how the company should go forward. Maybe it's a big old corporation, and there's a board of people. More than likely, it's a bunch of old white men, but hopefully, I think we're gradually getting away from that, which is good. 2B, having administrative or managerial responsibility, as in executive director. They're managing maybe all the other directors. They get to control everything because they are an executive director. Number 3, of or relating to an executive, which will be the noun in the next episode. As in the executive offices. The offices for the very important executives. Oh, that's the job that you want, right? You want to be an executive. You want to be in the corner office on the top floor, looking out, probably not doing much work and getting paid way too much. This is the thing. All these executives and CEOs, they get paid way too much money. I'm sorry. They are not they are not worth that much money, especially when you compare them to the other people who are doing the majority of the actual work. Okay, fine, like they have years of experience, they're making decisions, but like really the difference in wages is that huge? No. I'm calling out you executives, you CEOs, you high up rich people. I'm calling you out. You need to start cutting down. First of all, pay more taxes, and also you need to be cutting down on how much you make. I know you have a lifestyle that you love. Well, tough butts. You need to have a tough butt, and you need to be okay with making less money. Geez, you cut out 10%. You can cover the wages for so many people, so many middle class, lower class people who need 2 jobs or more to stay afloat. This is a big problem. All right. I probably should have held that till the next episode, but whatever, I don't care. Okay, hey, let's now pick a word of the episode. We had today ex-directory, exec, execrable, execrate, execration, executant, execute, execution, executioner, and executive. All right, I mean, I'm kind of tempted to pick executioner because, I don't know, such an interesting job. Adventures of Baron Munchausen had a funny executioner who I think had his eyes stitched closed or something. That was a funny character. Execution, which one? Execrable, that was a word I had never heard before. All of those. Detestable, wretched, execrable. This episode was probably execrable, so detestable because Spencer screwed up. All right, I think that was fine. I don't think I have any more movies. My phone went over there for some reason. Do I have a movie that I need to tell you about? Let's find out. Let's look. Oh no, I don't. I didn't watch any movies on the plane, which I think I mentioned in the previous episode. But I think tonight we're going to go see a movie, so I'll have one later for you. All right. This is the end of the episode. Thank you very much for checking out this show, podcast, YouTube, all the places. And until next time, this is Spencer dispensing information. Goodbye.